Hello and welcome to a little video about a petty squabble involving drama in the Recall Sisolak campaign. So, if you don't know, my name is Cardiff Gerhardt. I'm a nonpartisan legislative candidate for state assembly, and I'm also leading a recall group. Now, I have a Facebook group that's called Recall Sisolak Round 2. And just in the past day or so, there's been a new member. There's been a little bit of drama involving the Fight for Nevada group, me calling them out for being a corrupt group, and some people who are involved in that group who are very aggressive and divisive. They're very bitter and angry. And this is just more of the same old, same old. So the new member, after Matt Anthony had released a slanderous post on the Fight for Nevada group, a new member joined by the name of Kristy Scott. Now, Kristy Scott is the CEO of a ammunitions company in Carson City. We'll cover a little bit more about that in a minute. But first, let's focus on what you see on your screen, which is the Recall Sisolak Round 2 Facebook group and the first message that she posted as soon as she got accepted into the group. She says, "Are you kidding me? In alliance with Governor Sisolak? I was with the original group almost from the beginning. I was told that this group was the one that was going to be moving forward, and now I see that it's just another sour grapes movement," as in my group is the sour grapes movement. "From somebody that didn't have their ideas taken seriously. So now you're going to go off and form a third group? And as part of that, instead of moving forward with your ideas, you're going to spend your time bashing the other groups. Do you have any idea how poorly this looks to the Nevada voting public? My business supported Fight for Nevada from the very beginning and worked with them. Just because your ideas were not taken seriously doesn't mean that group aligned with Sisolak or any part of any type of satanic thing." All right. So let me just say that Fight for Nevada was the first group that formed. I was the second. And now there's a new group that, the Mutiny, the new group that formed out of Fight for Nevada called Battle Born Patriots. So it may seem that she just doesn't understand the timeline, and that she thinks that I started after Battle Born Patriots formed their Mutiny. But I obviously started my group many months ago. In fact, very first started in April, but we'll get to that in a minute. So we can continue on. I share, did you know that there was a mutiny in Fight for Nevada? I share that video link. She says, yes, I'm well aware. You pointing it out so publicly certainly doesn't help any cause. It's just anger. It's just bitterness. And then another post that was brought to the forefront. It's not in the thread. It's out on the main post. If you could see the alignment, it goes back like an indent. It indents to the very beginning. So then she throws in a main post so the public can see, who just get a face value of this post. Are you also wondering why there's only one admin in this group? To which someone responded, yes, time to leave the group? And she's like, yup. And the other girl's like, thank you for pointing that out to me. I'm definitely out. But she never left. And then she says, well, he does nothing but slam Angela, yet the picture in his group is of him and Angela. I think he's doing that to confuse people, to get them into his group. Well, I appreciate you pointing it out. I did actually meet Angela at a Fight for Nevada rally, and the reason why it's in there is because I kind of got her in a gotcha moment. But yeah, there is an association to Fight for Nevada because they were the first. They still technically are the biggest Facebook group. And everyone who's involved in the recalling of Sisolak, aside from the people that I've called who didn't know anything about it and joined, got involved with Fight for Nevada for the most part. And so it kind of shows, at the very least, and the reason why I did it is to show that I have had connection with the Fight for Nevada president, with the top of the group, and that there is some experience that I have gained by getting so close to the top members. The goal is actually to gain authenticity and establish myself as someone who is deeply involved in the effort to recall Governor Steve Sisolak. And so if there's any confusion, then what? You ask, it gets answered. But to state that my intention is to confuse people, it's not fair. It's not quite honest. It's more sounding like a saboteur, right? Someone who just wants to ruin my reputation in anger. All right. So we can keep reading that, but let's take it over, because when she joined the group, she shared her email. I'm not letting people into the group unless they share at least their email. I would also like a residential address so that I can continue the process of verifying the voter with the government database so I can see whether they are a registered voter or not. And also to add all the members of their family into the count of people who are eligible to recall Sisolak. So we can eventually reach that goal of 244,000. And also so I can get a geo-targeted list of people who live in the precinct. And if you don't know what a precinct is, police usually know what a precinct is, but it's a neighborhood block, so to speak. It's smaller than a zip code usually, especially in the big cities. It's the neighborhood. That's the precinct. So that list then gets emailed to the people who sign up, and that's why this information is necessary. So anyways, I carried it over to a email. And the first thing I sent is, this is John Cardiff Gerhardt, leader of the recall campaign you signed up to. I need your residential address to verify your recall eligibility as well as those in your household, and also send you a PDF list of eligible neighbors in your area. Is that all right with you? Let me know if you have any questions. And I shared a few video links so that she could watch and learn more. To which she responded, what type of leader are you? As my understanding is that Michael Morrissey is the president and county leader. I haven't decided to go forward with any organization yet, as I'm not sure which one is telling the truth. No one has released anything regarding this forgery change or arson charge, whichever communication you put out. And that would be public record. I'm not giving out any further information until I know exactly what's going on. The communication I put out, I was just responding to the video. In fact, I played the video in that video. So you know why Battle Born Patriots even formed. So the communication from me was literally directly linked into that recording. It was recorded in that recording, that video, which is unlisted, by the way. But it was shared with me, and so I played it in that last video. And I think they're in damage control. And so that this is, well, let's keep going. I don't want to jump to any conclusions just yet. So I respond, what type of leader? Like a Myers-Briggs personality? I'm, ENTP, as far as a person, what type of personality, or what type of leader, a type of personality. I don't know. It's just the best I could find. Maybe she was assuming that I was a type of leader within the Battle Born Patriots group. And she's confusing me being associated with that Battle Born Patriots group, thinking I was a type of leader in that group, which I'm not. So then I say, it's entirely possible we're both telling the truth, Battle Born Patriots and I. I was never deeply involved in the Fight for Nevada group operations, and forgery was a new accusation made by them being the Battle Born Patriots. Disorganization, division, and instigation were the primary faults they actively possessed, which made me realize months ago, that they were likely more intentionally corrupt than honestly incompetent. And so then I posted a response I made in the Facebook, which I didn't quite get to, but I'll read right now. And she says in that last post, why is there only one admin, right? That post I had already read, but my response to that post is only one admin needed at this point in time. No one has asked to be an admin anyway. Picture proves how deep into this movement I have involved myself. Kristy, would you like to conduct a video chat that's recorded for social sharing? I'd love to be as transparent as possible with someone who cares as much as you do. And the like was from that other woman who was talking. Should I leave the group? And she's like, yep, okay, I'm definitely out. This proves she didn't actually leave after she said that, because I responded with this post after that whole thread. All right. So then we move on to, now that can go two ways. Either it's just an innocent conversation between two random people, or it's kind of like, all right, playa, you ready to game? And then they talk, and then their goal is to create this sort of conversation that could convince readers that they're out too. Try and create a group consensus, a mutiny within my group, right? So anyways, moving on. She says, you speak of being angry when you are accusing me as well of being corrupt. I'm not sure if you realize how deeply my business was involved in supporting Fight for Nevada, and now with allegations of both corruption from you and being in concert with Steve Sisolak. Almost like a run-on sentence that ended in a question mark. I'm not sure if you realize how deeply my business was involved in supporting Fight for Nevada, and now with allegations of both corruption from you and being in concert with Steve Sisolak, you are not making any friends. Oh, okay. So my response is, Kristy, your loyalty is associated strongly with Fight for Nevada. I never accused Kristy Scott or Battle Born Ammo of being corrupt. Only Fight for Nevada. You are assuming the liability of their reputation, even though you were never president. It's a shame you feel this way. It's a shame you so strongly feel this way. I hope you disassociate yourself with Fight for Nevada, as they will never accomplish the goal we all desire. To scapegoat me as one capable of causing sufficient damage around here is far-fetched. Please come to your senses. It would be great if we could work together to put our attention in a direction of mutual interest. I assume you are one of many contributors and volunteers in that organization who did not know their failure was imminent, let alone intentional. I have shared many videos. Episode 3 shows how my group will guarantee success. Again, it would be great if we could have a Zoom chat. I'd love to learn more about you and your involvement with Fight for Nevada. Regards. So then she responds with, do you realize how condescending and rude you are? Telling me to come to my senses? You have no idea who I am. We have never met, and I can only assume that you have formed some opinion of me based upon that. Based upon what? Anyway, I don't believe I have been rude to you in such a manner. Anyone that starts a third recall effort only ruins the attempts of the others have already worked hard to make. Fight for Nevada was never aligned with Sisolak. We all came together to fight against him. Your comments and aspersions are rude and untrue no matter how many little videos you put together. Your assumptions that I went to watch some 9 hours of videos is ridiculous. Your assumptions that I want to, not went to. Okay. Your assumptions that I want to watch some 9 hours of videos is ridiculous. Your further comment that your picture with Angela is anything but what you state on your website is not being transparent. Your own website says, passing the torch, which might lead people to believe that she actually did. That's very misleading. I don't deal with people that do not have ethics or are lacking in integrity. So take care. To which I responded with a third recall effort. Who was the second? I started my recall group back in April and began ramping it in July. Battle Born Patriots is the third recall effort as far as I can tell, but you may know more about the groups than me. 9 hours? All the videos combined that I've shared add up to 1. You believe wrongly. A heated rudeness has come from you upon first contact in my Facebook group. You're going to have to go back and reread those posts. In fact, you are making a case against yourself that you are angrily throwing accusations at me and my group because you wish to destroy us. If my narrative is correct, then you are playing an aggressive role to aid the reputation of the corrupt Fight for Nevada group and Sisolak's governorship. You can't just say it's impossible because you were there. You'd have to prove it impossible with video evidence to me and every other Nevadan. I hope you understand how that level of media transparency is necessary in order to destroy my narrative completely. I look forward to speaking with you on a Zoom call soon. Regards. To which she said, quit emailing me. I will not be spoken to like a child. Whoa. I didn't speak to her like a child. I don't think a child would be able to grasp all this. I spoke to her like she was an adult, a CEO of a company, and an honest patriot who has strong intention to remove Sisolak, but just got caught up in the fray with a corrupt group. So I just want to leave it off on, I did a little research, just a quick research. I mean, as soon as I saw these 2 pages I'm about to show you, you've seen the first, that's when I knew I had to make a video. Because here's the first group. This is her battlebornammo.com. And as you can see on the About Us page, Kristy Scott, number 1, head cheese, as they'd say in Wisconsin. Kristy is the one responsible for day-to-day operations, basically mom. Jim Scott is the husband and supports the first responders locally and is in the store frequently due to his workload. You can find him in the store on Saturdays. All right, so there's the company. That looks like to be a backdrop of the actual store, so they sell guns. But here's the other one. Kristy Scott, Battle Born Ammunitions and Firearm. Here's her LinkedIn page. So this is her, and that is probably the front page or the front of her store. But what I found really concerning is her experience. Before she was a firearms dealer, she was a compliance and audit investigator for the state of Nevada. So I'll read this. And she lives in Carson City, the capital of Nevada, where all the government headquarters are, where Sisolak spends a lot of his time, and all the elected officials have to see at least once a year for a few months. So this says, as part of my work on the contributions side of the Employment Security Unemployment Division, I reviewed claimants' unemployment wage protests to determine why their wages were not reported into the system. Many times it was just a transposition of numbers by the employer. However, it also involved assisting non-compliant employers, those paying employees under the table, in submitting their wages and bringing them into compliance. At times, it was also a question as to whether the individual was truly an employee versus an independent contractor under Nevada statutes, or determining where the work was performed due to the proximity of California and Nevada. It was a frequent issue, reporting to the wrong state. Assessing taxes, penalties, and interest was a daily part of my job. Clearing the obstruction to unemployment claims so the unemployed were able to receive their benefits is a payoff for me. Conducted interviews with claimants, and I'll skip down. Just to prove a violation exists. So conducted interviews with claimants, employers, witnesses, state and local government agencies, and other sources to obtain information and develop leads and facts pertaining to the case to prove a violation exists. Field work, visiting, employers, claimants, banks, and other state agencies to conduct interviews, gather data, obtain employer records and or signatures, develop case files and maintain case logs and reports, place evidence in case file along with chronological documentation regarding investigative steps taken and all contact made with compliant respondent, witnesses, and other sources, preserve and utilize evidence to develop a final case reports and or for potential hearings, internet records, research searching and develop leads and documentation pertinent to case, review NRS, NAC, Attorney General opinions, and other case law pertinent to decisions relevant to our investigation, represent division at hearing or to present case. So that is a mouthful, but a compliance audit investigator. Fight for Nevada just came out as being corrupt. The video I showed of the video that has been made by a third party within the Fight for Nevada group admitted to corruption. And they said, when asked about the contributions and spending, there were none. There was no answer. There was never a reply to where all the funding was going. Kristy Scott got herself deeply involved in the Fight for Nevada campaign. And obviously this group has fallen apart. It sounds like she's assuming that Battle Born Patriots is number 2 and I'm number 3. But she doesn't seem to be actively investigating Fight for Nevada, their financials. She's not doing any of the audit she has experience doing. She works for the state of Nevada in Carson City, of all places. It just seems more likely that my narrative is continuing to hold weight and that Kristy Scott may actually be another saboteur who needs to fan the flames in order to destroy any recall effort against Sisolak by wearing the mask or wearing the face that she is an avid supporter, a big contributor, and an active patriot, an active petitioner. I don't know what else to tell you. I mean, she left the group by her own, but I was going to kick her out at that point, especially at the email where she believes she's being talked to like a child. I didn't call her a baby. I didn't call her a wimp. I didn't say she was throwing a tantrum. I didn't talk to her like a child. I didn't tell her she had to go to timeout. So it's just delusional. It's really delusional, this world that she's made up. And either she's just lost touch with reality and she's so emotionally invested in the Fight for Nevada that the thought of any member within that group being corrupt and working with Sisolak, even after the mutiny, is too much to bear. So then she just finds a scapegoat and takes it out on him. And that's the benefit of the doubt still. Okay, maybe. But the other possibility is that she's probably deeply tied into the corruption of the state of Nevada. Therefore, she has to get involved with the recall group, which was set up as a sabotaged group, she being a big part of it, going into the Fight for Nevada group, in which case she was just going to swing her way on over to the Battle Born Patriots group, and I'm just a wrench in the way, in which she's got to try and destroy me as much as possible. Now, the other girl in the group who was like, oh, is it time to leave? Okay, I'm out. But didn't actually leave. I don't know, still benefit of the doubt. Was she playing a part in this whole narrative with a bunch of, bad actors to try and destroy any united group outside of their realm? Me being literally the biggest group outside of the Fight for Nevada and Battle Born Patriots. That's a fact. And so would she just be playing the part to try and convince people to get out? Or is she just honestly, not sure and just willing to believe because, woman, friend, So I don't know. But that's a juicy story. That's the fact that Kristy Scott came in, threw a lot of hate, and is actually tied to Carson City investigation unit within the state of Nevada is really bizarre. Really bizarre. So anyways, that's what I got. And if you know any more, please share it in the comments. And I'd love to hear about the people who have honestly worked hard and volunteered with the Fight for Nevada group only to see it be destroyed and now no longer trust Fight for Nevada or Battle Born Patriots and have a story to tell about their involvement in these organizations. So, that being said, wish you the best. That's all I got. Until next time, this is John Cardiff Gerhardt, the nonpartisan assembly candidate for District 12, which is East Henderson, East Las Vegas. I'll see you in the next video.